There are two adjustments that I will show you on this clock. One of them is to adjust the speed of the clock, how fast it goes, to get it to run accurately, or as accurately as can be expected from an all-wood kinetic sculpture like this. I'm zooming in on this walnut knob here, which is now a moving target. This knob here can be turned one way or the other, and this adjusts the speed of the clock. So if you turn this knob clockwise, as you can see, this threaded part now, I'm screwing it down, and it's pushing down on this shaft here of the pendulum. If you turn it that way, it will slow the clock down. If you turn it counterclockwise, it speeds the clock up. And I'll just explain a little bit how that works. I'll zoom back. What it does is it raises and lowers that upper part of this shaft here. So it makes it go up or down like that. And if you bring this weight that's up above here, if you bring that higher, it slows down the action of the pendulum. Bring it down and it speeds it up. So turn this knob clockwise, and it pushes down here and lifts up that outer end. If you turn it just, a quarter turn like that, that will make quite a bit of difference by several minutes a day. So you just let it run, see how it goes. Check the time after a day or half a day and see if it's running fast or slow, and then make the adjustment. So if it's running fast, let's say 10 minutes after 24 hours, then I would say turn this a half a turn to slow it down. Or if it's running too fast, of course, you turn it the other way, a half a turn. Try that first. I'd recommend probably no more than a half a turn of this knob, because it makes quite a bit of difference. And as I said, even a quarter turn will change it by several minutes a day. The other adjustment is something that may never need to be done, but I'll explain it anyway. It's something that, if it does ever need it, it would be probably if the clock is if the weather conditions change really fast, or like around here, you go from summer to winter, the furnace turns on in the fall and it starts drying out the air quickly, or in the springtime it gets warm suddenly, the furnace is no longer running, the air gets much more humid very quickly. So if there's a big change in humidity, especially if it happens quickly, then it might be that the balance of the pendulum would need to be adjusted, and I'll explain that now. I'll zoom in on these two levers here. As you can see, as the pendulum is running, the clock is ticking, they alternately will catch on one side and release on the other, and then catch on the opposite side and release again. And you can see as they release, there's a little bit of extra swing of the pendulum. So there it lifts up, and it lifts up considerably each time so that it can clear that peg. So I'll just show you. If this swings so it just barely lifts up, you can see it's just barely releasing there. It's possible the clock could stop at some point because it doesn't lift up enough for the clock to keep going. So you look at those levers, and you see how much that lifts up, and then see how much extra swing there is on this side. Now they both lift up in a kind of a different fashion, but you can see that there's extra swing after it releases. So then you know it's nice and it's got a nice healthy tick there, healthy swing, and it can release those pegs on each side. If the clock just stops mysteriously, you know, it's wound up, but it just stops, then take a look and see which one of these levers it stopped at. And then start it up. And you might notice that it just barely releases, while the other one, it lifts way up with extra swing on that side. And then you can make an adjustment, if necessary, out here by moving this little weight that hangs from this string. You can just move this string one way or the other. I'm going to creep it to the right now. And that changes the balance of the pendulum. Now I'll start it up. I've moved it, I'd say about 1/4 of an inch, which is a lot. And now watch as I start it up. I'll show you what happens. Actually, it's not even running, because I brought the weight here to the right, so now it wants to swing this way more than the other way. So I'll just start it up. This lifts way up high, and this one now didn't even lift up at all. See, that's what it looks like when it's out of balance. Start it up again, get it really going. Now it did release, and it really lifts up high there. And again, it didn't lift up there at all. So that's what it looks like when it's off balance. So I'm going to creep that weight back to the left, back to where it was. I'll just slide that back over. Then start it up. Now you can see those levers are releasing on each side. And of course, if it were swinging way down like that and this lever lifting way up, and then the one on this side not releasing, then it would have to be moved to the right, that weight, to get it to swing up more like that. It's something you just kind of experiment with a little bit. I'm going to put a little mark. I will put a little pencil mark on the back of this shaft here to mark where this string is located. So you have a little point of reference there. If it does get moved one way or the other, you can see the original spot where I've had it set. But as I said, you may never have to do that. It's just something that I include on this video and tell people about, just in case it's ever necessary. And you can always call me or email me too, or whatever, if you have a question about that. That upper weight, that's also tied on the end. That will never need to be moved. If it slips off when it's being transported or something, you just slide it back on there until it feels tight. I'll show you. I'll just show you. So if it comes off like that, this little loop in the string, you just slide back on with your fingernails until it feels snug, and then that's fine. Oh, there's one other adjustment I'll mention. Again, probably won't ever need to be done, but I always leave it adjustable. This knob here, if I turn that one way or the other, you can see how that string back here kind of rolls up or down on the shaft where it's attached, and it lifts up the front of the pendulum shaft right there. So it affects the tilt of the pendulum a little bit. Yeah, I'll show you where it kind of shows up. And again, I'll have this adjusted. I don't think this will ever have to be messed with. Probably giving too much information, but I'll just include this in the video if I can get a look at it here. Now as I'm twisting it, you can see this end of the pendulum shaft is moving kind of towards that gear or away from it. So that's why I keep this peg up here adjustable to adjust the tilt of the pendulum so that nothing is running into anything. You know, so if this were adjusted way over here, it would come down and it would nick the main gear there. So I'll just tweak it a little bit to get it a little bit away from that so it can slide through there as it's swinging. As I said, you probably will never need to tweak this piece here, but it is movable. So I guess if you know, somebody does mess with it, turns it, then you know what to do. You can adjust it to get this. It makes this piece here more horizontal too. If it's laying way down like that, you can see it's tilted now. I'll bring it up more straight like that. And now we're not hitting that gear down here. And that's it for adjustments that are possible on this clock.